What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. You made it. It's the Friday Live with Lauren show. I'm Lauren, your host. Welcome back if you've been here before. If you haven't, congratulations. You'll come back every Friday now. Or maybe you won't, but I think so. Okay, we have a lot of special things happening today. You guys know I always have some pretty awesome guests with me. Today I have a surprise guest who was not really listed on like the event. I kind of told you guys what was happening maybe an hour or two before the show. I posted about it, but you might not have seen it. So you guys, are you ready? We're going to do today a pizza taste test. What? Y'all, you see this? I got pizza. Okay, I'm going to tell you where it's from, tell you all the things. But before I do that, would you do me a favor and share the show? Was LinkedIn kind? Did they tell you we were live? I didn't get a notification. So please, please, please be a friend, share the show. All right. And with that, I'm going to bring over Alex. Alex, y'all, I have somebody in the studio with me today.
What's up?
I don't know if that's ever happened, having somebody in the actual studio with me while we're filming live. So Alex is here from Vincenzo's Pizza, right?
Yep.
Here we go. Okay, so tell us, how long have you been here? I'm going to put all the information on the bottom. You guys can read all about it.
So Vincenzo's, we opened like 2.5 weeks ago. This was, it's a passion project. I've got a partner. His name's Vincenzo. He's the man. We're just two guys that really wanted a consistent slice of pizza. And you know what? It's everything is homemade. I promise you it's not the water. And yeah, we're here. We're ready to rock and roll.
I love that. Okay, if you're watching, comment below. Tell me, what is your favorite style of pizza? Are you a New York style pizza? Do you like Detroit style pizza? Nobody say Chicago deep dish. You're banned. What do you like? Tell me what you like. I want to know. I personally love just like a great New York style slice of cheese. We're gonna eat this now. I didn't have lunch today. I've been waiting all day for this.
Yeah.
But y'all, I met Greg, who's also a partner from all of this, on LinkedIn, and now we're eating pizza on the live show.
What?
Anything is possible. All right,
Cheers.
pizza cheers.
Woo.
Woo woo. Okay, are you ready? Okay. Okay. Look at that. It's holding nicely. I know we're supposed to do one bite, but we're gonna do like 2 or 3.
I can eat all day.
Okay, the crust is solid. I don't think I'm gonna mash it quite as hard as Alex's, but this is really good.
I promise you guys, it's not the water.
Okay. And y'all, this sat for a few minutes because we had to wait for you guys to go live. But this is phenomenal. If you're in my network and you're in South Florida, you got to check it out. You guys also have some specials in the afternoon, right?
We have some killer specials. We have an after school special for the kids, but you know, we allow big kids as well. We do 2 slices and a drink for $7 and change. You can get 2 specialty slices and a drink for $9. Lunch special, $9, $10 for slices and a drink. We have half euro on salad specials. Really, if you want something and it's not a special, we might make it a special for you.
There you go. You are special, and they will make you feel special when you guys go in. Okay, I'm going to show you the video I made. I did go check this out like a week ago. The one thing I will tell you guys, this place is so clean. I literally, I wouldn't eat off the floor, but I felt like I could eat off.
Come on.
Check this out.
Okay, it was really short, but it was awesome. It was so good. So if you're local, check it out. Let me know what you think of the pizza and what kind of pizza you like. Alex, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. We're going to do it again.
Have a good
soon
weekend.
With more food. I heard the wings are really good too.
Listen, possibly the best wings in Boca right now. I'm not going to lie. Pizza, I'm not going to be biased, but I think it's definitely up there with the best in Boca for sure.
There we go. All right, guys.
Thank
you so much.
I take my slice.
Take your slice. And go make some pizza for the kids after school.
Pizza time.
All right, I'm going to get my chair because we're not going to stand this whole time. Y'all, was that fun? Did you enjoy it? Should we ever do a pizza taste test again? Or are y'all like, no, I never want to see you eat food again? Let me know. If not, it's okay. I think I have some pizza in my teeth. Let me know that too. If you see any of that coming across. And now let me come back and find our special guest today. We have 2 guests today, not 1. You guys are just getting so much special stuff this first Friday of September. Okay, let me bring on first. We have Molly Wheaton. And then we have Tuck, Tuck, you're so smart. You didn't even put your last name there because I couldn't say it. But I'm so impressed that I'm not even going to butcher it. And you didn't put it there because I would have probably tried. Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, feeling great. I mean, hungry after watching the pizza, but otherwise feeling great.
I was gonna say, are you hungry? I was so hungry, and but now I have to stare at this piece of pizza the whole time we talk. So, y'all, if you see me sneak a bite, no judgment. All right, we are gonna talk all about so many fun topics today. We're gonna talk about. Okay, I'm gonna give you the lowdown. Are you ready? First topic is going to be AI and job searching. Y'all, let me know. Do you think it's cheating, or are you using it for a tactical advantage? Then we're going to move into career advice. I wish I got sooner, which all of you need to listen to that one. I texted my mom before the show. We got some great advice from mom coming in. Y'all know she watches the show. She shows up on LinkedIn. She only joined LinkedIn to support me after she retired. That's like the fan of your life. Then we're going to move into tech startups. Pros versus cons in 2024 and beyond. So like y'all all know a few years ago, everybody wanted to get in tech. We're going to talk about that today. And then we're going to talk about how you can level up your interview skills in like 10 minutes, maybe less, because it's the last topic. So we don't have a full 10 minutes. We got to rush through it. But we got so much fun stuff to talk about. Molly, it's probably going to make me big first here. Let's switch this around. Molly, let's talk about you first. Can you tell all of the audience watching today, who is Molly Wheaton?
Sure can. So I'm Molly. I live in Austin. I'm a co-founder at Earn Better. If you're not aware, we're an AI company that helps folks in the job search. Started this about 2 years ago. And before that, I spent about 10 years at various tech companies in the Austin area, working across a couple different functions like operations, recruiting, client management, stuff like that. But yeah, really excited to be here. And thanks for having us on.
I am so happy you're both here. Tuck, let's switch. Why don't you give everybody a little intro about you?
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having us. So I'm Tuck Hauptfuhrer, another founder of Earn Better as well. Prior to Earn Better was at a company called Credit Karma for a little less than 10 years in the financial technology and wellness space. Yeah, excited to share more about kind of the job search and all the various kind of tips that we talked about.
I'm super excited. I think today's episode is going to really help people level up in their job search in general, find better resources. And I think you guys are both just incredible resources. And I'm super excited to have you. Molly, I'm going to move myself down so that you two are on the spotlight. You can ask questions in the chat. We will try to answer them if we have time, if we know the answers, y'all. We think we know a lot, but we don't know everything. So we will try so hard to answer your questions if we can and if they're appropriate. Y'all, LinkedIn's been weird this week, let's be honest. So we will try, but let us know what you want to talk about. I have to shout out really quick, Sendoso. Sendoso's giving away a great prize today. I'm going to move us over and show you. I always forget to show you, and don't mind that my face is covered. It's really okay. Nobody needs to see me any more than they already do. All right, look at that, y'all. That's some olive oil. So I ate pizza. I figured, like, why not give away some olive oil? It's like the healthy part of pizza, maybe, right? Pretend. I don't know. Anyway, if you want some olive oil, all you have to do is comment hashtag Sendoso to be entered to win. You do have to ship it to somebody in the United States. Sorry, it's not me, it's them. But I hope that you will enter to win some olive oil. And if you're not in the United States, you could always ship it to somebody in the United States. It's a gift. They're a gifting company. Experience true gifting. All right. Are we ready to move into topic number 1?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to start with AI and job searching. Is it cheating or is it a tactical advantage? Who would like to take us away?
I'll go first. So yeah, I don't think you can make a blanket statement either way because there's two sides to every coin, but we can talk about both. To start, job seekers are using AI in a bunch of different ways, from updating their resume to preparing for interviews, figuring out how to negotiate an offer, kind of the whole 9 yards as it pertains to the job search. And just like anything, I'm all about people using technology to help themselves, whether it makes you more effective or saves you time or helps you be more creative, whatever that might be. At the same time, I'm also a proponent of doing the right thing and being responsible in how you apply that technology to whatever you're doing. So I think a good use case, in my opinion, like for instance, if you use our tool to customize resumes, that can save you a ton of time versus manually updating all of your resumes. That is kind of mind numbing and, in my opinion, a waste of time. But at the end of that process, we do ask people to review the output for accuracy. So don't just blindly use an AI generated document. Make sure it resonates with you, make sure it's accurate. On the other hand, a bad use case, if you're using AI to, falsify your experience or cheat through an assessment or cheat through an interview, I definitely don't endorse that. I think that's, fundamentally wrong. But people can do those things with or without AI. So I think that comes down to more of like a bad actor versus a good actor, or somebody with good intentions versus bad intentions. I certainly have more thoughts on the topic, but Tuck, I'll pass it off to you just so I don't monopolize the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think spot on. You can cheat in your job search without using AI. You can use AI in your job search without cheating. And it's really more about kind of how you use the tool. I think most people wouldn't disagree that the job of the job seeker isn't a fun job. It can be tedious. It can take a lot of time, take a lot of work. It's thankless. You don't get paid to do this job. And so there's so much talk right now about how AI can make people more efficient as a marketer, as a software developer, as a salesperson, as a media strategist, you name it, right? And so at least at Earn Better, we're all about how can we help make AI accessible so that more and more people can be efficient as job seekers and be effective as job seekers. So as Molly mentioned, we'll provide free resumes and cover letters and interview training. There are just so many ways that AI can make you more efficient. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you use it. And we think, to have it be a productivity tool, so you can focus on what matters in your search. Maybe it's networking or preparing for interviews or, getting an additional certification, doing things like that, versus tediously updating kind of cover letters and resumes, right? That's much less value add than some of these other elements. So it's really about how you use it. And those are some examples of, what we'd advocate. But, importantly, we think that there could be this double standard, right? Where if employers are using jobs, AI can be all about efficiency and innovation. If job seekers are using it, oh, is that cheating? And so it's really about how do we give tools to empower people to be more effective in their search, and how they use them is really the important piece.
I love the point that you make about, is it cheating because companies are doing it and we're calling it innovation, but a job seeker does it and we call them lazy. And I think that a lot of people really need to take a step back and look in the mirror. A lot of hiring managers that I speak to recently haven't been in the job search as of late, right? Mm-hmm. I haven't, just being transparent with you guys, my clients, the hiring managers I'm working with, they haven't been in the job search lately. I don't think they really understand what people are going through and why they might feel like they have to use AI to help and assist. And Lord, I hear people all the time, Lord, I've been looking for a job for 9 months. Like, that's exhausting. I can only imagine what you're going through. And I really want to highlight really quick. Dan says, nobody had issues with people who write resumes and cover letters for others for a fee. So I don't think AI is any different, just faster. What do you guys think about that?
Bingo. I was about to bring this up, so I appreciate it. I could pay a resume writer or a career coach to give me feedback on my resume or my job search. Nobody would bat an eye. Nobody would judge me. People do this all the time and have been doing it for years. But it's doing something similar, but making it accessible to more people. So I'm personally a fan of people having access to more resources regardless of their disposable income. And if they can afford support, because, some of these services can be, we've talked to some of our users who have paid $800 or $1,000 for a new resume. Not everybody has that. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to equate it. It's like, if you're not going to judge somebody for using a career coach or a resume writer, this is very similar. And again, be responsible in how you're using it. Don't falsify something, but as long as you're being responsible, I'm all for it.
And
I was going to say, treat it as a first draft, right? Layer in your own personality, layer in kind of what is unique to you and what matters. So if you're exclusively using AI without adding any of that human touch, that's not something we'd advocate either. It's about kind of that combination between AI, I think that human judgment that's most powerful, and let the AI take maybe a first cut, that's a first draft of some of these elements, or kind of help give you some feedback in areas. But it's really that kind of marriage between the two that we think can be most powerful and also most responsible, more broadly.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, really quick, I want you guys to have some time to talk about Earn Better. So you heard, but they both introed Earn Better. They're from Earn Better. You've probably seen, I've done some posts where I've referenced Earn Better. somebody take it away for the people who are watching today and they're like, I'm one of those people who I don't have the money for that. How are you helping and supporting job seekers? And talk about Earn Better a little bit, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. Earn Better provides a completely free AI job search assistant. So in all aspects of your job search. So we'll do, free mock interviews, free interview cheat sheets, help you draft and reformat your resume. The average user gets a draft of a resume in less than 2 minutes. We'll then help you kind of customize your resume and cover letter for specific opportunities. We've also got over 5 million jobs on the site. So when you find a job that you like there, or even if you find a job elsewhere, we can kind of help you again with all of those tools. So interview prep and training, preparing your application, et cetera. And it's all about, again, I love that comment that you brought up. It's all about leveling the playing field and providing kind of completely free access to tools that are really powerful and that can help them in their search.
Yeah, 100%. Dan, this is a whole conversation for another day. Sorry, I'm hidden again, but there's a lot of issues on both sides. And I know we had another comment about AI and it affecting people who are neurodivergent. We do want to talk about those. We will have those conversations, but we got to move through the topics today, y'all. I will have a show around the effects of AI and who's it benefiting and all of those things, but I don't want you guys to think I don't see your comments. I need to have a different show and different topics where we can address those. So, but I don't want you guys to think that you show up and I just don't address the hard comments. It's just not the comment that we have time for today, but we will get back to you guys. And yes, that's a lot of jobs, Nadine. They have a lot of jobs on their job board. It's insane. Everybody check it out. Okay. Can you guys believe we're almost 20 minutes into the show?
Time flies.
Time flies, especially when you're eating pizza. Okay. A few other topics we're going to talk about today. The next one we're going to talk about is career advice I wish I got sooner. Sooner, people. I got some great advice earlier in my career. I'm not going to lie. But what's the advice you've gotten recently that you really wish you knew earlier on that maybe would have changed, maybe shape your career differently, shape your mindset differently, maybe had you look in different directions? Who wants to take away that piece of career advice that they wish they had sooner?
I'll go first. So one of my managers told me, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, which has really stuck with me. And put another way, you could think of it as done is better than perfect. And I tend to be very analytical. I want to think through every single angle of a, certain situation before I'm charting out a solution. But on the flip side, you can get to the point of what I call analysis paralysis. And, at one point you just need to make a decision based on the inputs you have. So since that conversation, I typically time box exercises or projects that I'm working on. For example, I was recently testing out different text messages for us to send at Earn Better to different users about new job matches. So like, what's the best way to message that? And let's come up with a few variants to test. Old Molly probably could have spent like 8 hours, researching every corner of the internet about this, but I gave myself 45 minutes, just research best practices, look at what others are doing, come up with a few options, and then get it out in the wild. And so what I think that example highlights is, you don't want to just come up with something willy-nilly without giving it any thought, but you also don't need to over-engineer everything. There's definitely a happy medium. And the important thing is getting something started and, getting it out there so you can see how it performs and then make changes, iterations, and improvements from there. The only caveat I'll provide before passing it to Tuck, some functions or roles, like an accounting or a finance person or somebody who might be in a really highly regulated industry, I might not give that advice to. Those folks might need to cater towards more accuracy and precision in what they're doing. But, for somebody in tech who's, we're just trying to test a lot of new different things and see what works, that's been super helpful feedback.
Yes, I love it. Y'all, the one thing that you're not told early in your career is that you're supposed to fail. At some point, you're going to fail. At some point, things are going to go wrong. Like, you should expect it. If things go right every single time, it's like expecting your kid to win the championship Little League trophy every single year. It's not going to happen. right? There'll be injuries, there'll be setbacks. The same thing with your career. And I don't think people really set us up to expect that, but you should expect early on gonna fail. Sorry, Tuck. I'll get to you now.
No, but I think you're right. If you're always hitting your goals, maybe your goals aren't kind of pushed hard enough, and you're not pushing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone and that kind of thing. So that definitely resonates. At least for me, some of the advice that I kind of wish I'd gotten earlier were, as you're exploring career transitions, don't think about just what you're running from, but what you want to run to. And I think as I look back at earlier transitions that I made in my career, I looked at something I didn't necessarily like about that job, and I was like, okay, how can I find a job that fixes that thing that I don't like? So it's a little bit more like, what am I running from, right? Versus later in my career, I kind of evolved to, like, what do I love? What brings me energy? Because any job is going to have elements that you don't like. There's no perfect job out there. To your point around like realistic expectations. And so it can kind of feel like this game of whack-a-mole where, okay, well, I didn't like this thing about this job, and I didn't like this thing about this job. And again, you're inevitably going to have that. So it's more a matter of like really cataloging what you do like at these various jobs, and things that you don't like. What are things that annoy you, or what are things that are deal breakers? And really reflecting, thinking about those elements so that you can be really kind of self-aware as you're navigating these career transitions. So again, what do you like versus what do you love? And what annoys you, and what are those like deal breakers? Because the more you can kind of look back at your experiences with that in mind, it kind of helps really prioritize the opportunities that you go after. And certainly as I look back at my earlier career transitions, I wish I had internalized that a little bit more.
Yes, I talk to a lot of leaders. I do job search strategy sessions with a number of people, and y'all, honestly, it's a lot of senior leaders who ask for help because they haven't been on the market for a while. But I'm doing sessions with him, and I said to him, I said, listen, I said, what will you happily do? Right? What's okay? What do you love? What are you like, Lauren? They couldn't pay me enough money to ever do this again. And then what, like, if they paid me enough, I could do that. I really don't like to do that. But if they paid me enough, I could do it. Like, give me 3 buckets. Because you have to really wait where you're at. And I love that Tuck brought this up. The other thing is, if you write these down and hold them in front of you, you can actually compare jobs to them. Because if you're a job seeker and you're watching this, this is true. Listen to me. You get so exhausted. You're like, I could just do anything. And you apply for jobs you don't really want. And you're going to land a role that you're just going to be searching in the bathroom in 6 months for your next thing because you're miserable again. So write these things down and then hold yourself accountable, or find a buddy and look at these standards when you're applying for new roles and when you're considering new roles. And if they don't meet them, don't apply. Please don't apply. Okay, sorry. I just think it's so important to really understand this talk. I love that you brought that up. I love it. I think we got some great comments coming in too. There's a Tom, that comment needs to be framed. Here we go. If you're a top performer, you are already good enough to own your own business. Tom, that's great advice. How old were you when somebody gave you this advice? I want to know. Or you don't have to say your age online if you don't want to say your age online. But like, was that really something you learned later in life, or was it something you knew early? When I was preparing for this show today, my mother told me, she said that when you're constantly doing a good job, people will tell you. And I think in my early career, I was always wondering, am I doing a good job? Am I doing enough? And you're so concerned. But when you're doing well, people will tell you. So just put your head down and do the work. Right? Molly, any other advice people need to know for their career?
I mean, I think those are all 3 of those work pretty well. Nothing off the top of my head.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the other one that always like comes to mind is, whenever there's a problem or a challenge at work, try to pair that one-to-one with a potential solution. That does 2 things. One, it just forces creativity and puts you in kind of being, proactive and trying to kind of solve problems versus just kind of reporting or kind of alerting them to them. So it really kind of helps you exercise that muscle. And then it presents kind of a whole different, when you're sharing that with a manager or a leader or anyone else, it just helps move the ball forward and puts you in this position of power versus just a position of reporting or victim or kind of whatnot from that standpoint. So again, I received some of that feedback early in my career, and always try to do that, especially kind of in a startup environment.
Yes, that position of power. It really does help, y'all. Okay, Tom answered. He said, I'm 57. I figured it out at the second agency that I worked for. I don't think I worked at my second agency long enough to learn anything from them. That was kind of when I took that first piece of advice and was like, if you can do this for like, and you're a top performer, you can own your own business. And it wasn't 90 days. And I was like, I'm out. Bye. So I think that's my other advice. Like what Molly said in the beginning, like, it's progress over perfection. Sometimes there's a place for perfection, but it's progress over perfection. And if I would have worried about all the things and, oh my gosh, I don't have a business plan written, I can't, and I don't, no, I decided on a Thursday, I filed my LLC overnight, and on Friday we were cranking and rolling. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just have to do the things that scare you. And when you jump, you find out that they're really not so scary. That's my last piece of advice. And I just made that up on my head. Nobody gave me that. There you go. I don't know. I jumped off a cliff in Curacao once.
I love it.
Right. Do the scary things, y'all. They'll be so worth it for you. Okay. Don't forget really quick. You can comment Sendoso. Some of you have commented. Tuck, Molly, you guys can comment to win the olive oil. You give it away. I don't mind. We have 10 of you have entered. Okay. Impressed with y'all today. 10 people. Who's going to get the olive oil? I have to have a video of what you do with it. Please cook with it. Or like, I know some people do shots of olive oil, which is really weird to me, but if you are that person and you win this, I want to see that. I know. I feel like we have some weird people on LinkedIn who do like weird things. We are weird people everywhere, y'all. I'm loving on my LinkedIn people. Don't think I'm just calling all of you weird. Okay. It's almost halfway point. We are going to do High Five Friday. If you've been here before, High Five Friday is when Michelle Craig comes on and celebrates the people in your network doing awesome things. And we actually have something totally random that happened today. Somebody who got a high five left a high five. I've never had that happen before. It was totally random, but it's super exciting. Michelle, if you were going to say that, I'm sorry, I just stole your spotlight. I'll let Molly and Tuck take a sip of water. We're going to do that. And then also, I am helping in a career boot camp. If you do have the funds and you are looking for assistance, I'm going to drop a short video about that after Michelle does her high fives, so that you all can learn about that if you would like to join at the end of the month. And I guess we will see you guys in just a second. Well, not us, Michelle. Bye.
Hey y'all, happy Friday. We do have some awesome high fives to celebrate, but first, Lauren gave me like a week's notice and told me I was supposed to do my own pizza taste test. Very typical. I forgot until like 30 minutes ago, but fear not, because we can always adapt. So I've got a Pringle with some hot sauce, some cheese, and turkey pepperoni. And we're going to do a taste test and see if this is a great little easy pizza. Let's see. And now I'm just chewing. It's great. I'd rate it like a 2 out of 10. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. So we have Andrew Gibbs for Lori White. Lori is a wonderful friend. We met at a AFCEA Alamo chapter event and found out that we were both massive networkers and also neighbors. She's been a great help to me on all fronts and never stopped sending me connection suggestions. Thank you, Lori. Then we have Valeska for Jennifer. Valeska wants to promote the amazing hard work Jennifer has put into the boot camp happening at the end of the month for job seekers. High five to Jennifer and everyone involved. And as Lauren said, after this segment, there will be a quick video describing that boot camp. And Lauren is one of the coaches that's part of it, so you can work with her directly. Last but not least, we have Jennifer for Claire. I want to congratulate her for becoming a LinkedIn top voice this week. Congratulations, Claire. Thank you all for submitting your high fives, and get them in for next week.
Y'all, Michelle, that was incredible. I'm surprised you rated it a 2 out of 10, but I definitely ate a few bites.
It's actually probably better than that, but I probably wouldn't suggest like sour cream and onion Pringle with hot sauce. That's like not the move.
That's not the move, y'all. All right. Thanks so much, Michelle. High five to you.
Bye, y'all. High five.
And we'll see you next week.
Uncertain how to navigate emerging job search technologies? Discontented in your current role and unsure of the path forward? Aspiring to advance your career but requiring strategic direction? We got you. Land your dream job with our 2-day boot camp, featuring top subject matter experts to guide you through the intricacies of today's job market. Our agenda covers job market trends, resume crafting, personal branding, networking, recruiter engagement, mental health, and interview techniques. Expect targeted advice, actionable strategies, and personalized interactions from our experts to enhance your job search effectiveness. To learn more, go to events.intreecareers.com.
All right. Oh, that's too small. Here we go. Hi, everybody. We're back. Are you still there? Are you sleeping? How do you think Michelle did with her Pringle pizza? She didn't even tell me that was coming. I think that's so funny. Michelle, you have a great sense of humor. Next time, I will just order you a pizza if we do this again before the show. I promise. We'll get it over to you. All right. I'm going to get our people back out here. Molly and Tuck. Hold on. I got to switch us. Here we go. There we go. Hi. Welcome back.
Hello.
Were
Good to be
you
back.
were you more jealous of the real pizza or the Pringle pizza?
The real pizza.
Yeah, unequivocally the real pizza. I'll give her credit though. Michelle was smiling a lot and then gave it a 2 out of 10. It's like, maybe she does like it, but no.
Gabe's comment killed me. I was dying. You treated this pizza taste test like your end of semester term paper. Wait till the last minute to turn it in.
I would also say she was solutions oriented, like she had a problem before this show and she just dug into her pantry and figured out how to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to work with what you've got. Follow Michelle for more life lessons. Listen, I'm just impressed you figured it out that quickly, Michelle. I would not have known what to do. Okay, we are at literally the halfway point. We have 2 more hot topics. You guys know you can ask your questions in the chat. We are giving away olive oil today because if you missed the beginning of the show, I ate some pizza and it's still here and I'm sneaking bites when nobody's paying attention. But you can comment Sendoso to win this. I will leave all of the details below. We have had 12 people now, so 2 more of you have entered to win. And we're going to talk about 2 more topics. The topics that we are going to round out the show with are tech startups, pros versus cons in 2024 and beyond, and then level up your interview skills in 10 minutes. So essentially, we have to do this one because the interview one, we're going to make sure we have 10 minutes at the very end. So we're going to talk about tech startups. And tell me in the comments, were you one of the people who in the last few years were like, you transitioned to tech? I know everybody was like, I got to get into tech. And then there were all these posts about all the people who got into tech. Did you get into tech? How did it treat you? Did you love it? Were you one of the people who tried to get into tech and it didn't work out for you, so you pivoted somewhere else? Or were you already in tech and you're like, Lauren, we had to get out and we are out? Or are you loving it and growing your career? There's so many possibilities because like Tuck said earlier, it's a job and no job's going to be perfect. But I want to hear, Tuck and Molly, I want to hear your opinions on tech startups, the pros versus the cons in this year. And we're kind of getting to the end of this year, so we got to really talk about the future. Who wants to go first?
I'll kick it off, and I'll start with a couple pros and then pass it to Tuck. So, I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is the exposure is really hard to beat. You get to really look under the hood and understand how everything works, like from soup to nuts. So even if you're not doing a certain function, you know what's happening in all parts of the business because we're in lockstep. I mean, we have 8 people, and on the flip side of that, you also tend to wear a lot of different hats and take on a lot of different projects. And sometimes you're doing something where nobody at the company knows how to do what you're tasked with, and you just have to figure it out. That's something that I like. I think you get to learn a ton and try a lot of new things in a relatively short period of time. Someone actually described it to me as a career accelerant, which I think kind of hits the nail on the head, depending on if you like that type of environment. And then the second thing I would say is it's fun to be, part of building something from the ground up. And, I'm really bought into our mission and like love what we're doing, and to be like a part of something where it's like bigger than yourself, but you can also have a lot of pride in what you do. That's made a huge difference for me personally. And then you really get to see the impact that you're making. Like we review company metrics, usually weekly, definitely monthly. And it's awesome to see that progress. Whereas, sometimes you don't always know how you're contributing to like a overall goal or how the company's doing. we're very much in tune with that. So those are some of the pros that I would highlight. Chuck, I'm not sure what you would want to add.
Yeah, I mean, I would just, plus one, some of that in particular, like, we'll get feedback from some user in the morning. We'll chat about it as a team. We'll ideate. And by that afternoon, we've, shipped new technology to kind of help address that feedback. And it really is this kind of the speed and velocity and empowerment and autonomy you feel is really powerful and really addicting, just in terms of, that combination of kind of impact and ownership. And I think, as Molly mentioned, it can really accelerate development too, just because you're making so many decisions and you're moving so fast. And you have such a broad aperture of like what, you're learning about and what you can kind of impact. So those are a lot of the elements that are, I think, really attractive and some of the pros of working at a startup, in 2024 and beyond, and particularly with AI and everything that you can be done there. It's just a really exciting, dynamic time, I think, to be at a startup.
I agree. And when you're growing and when you join at a very early point, there is a lot of opportunity for growth as the team grows. And it is nice to kind of be on that ground level, and you can advance quickly in your career. I know people who are very young in some very high level positions because they went to the right startup at the right time and advanced their career correctly. Now, I know we're going to move into some cons, and I'm just going to bring up one because Lori brought it up in the comments. We're going to talk about it all. We talk about it here, y'all. It's the truth. If you care about work-life balance, don't do it. What do you guys have to say to Lori and her comment about work-life balance?
That's my first con, Lori. It's like you're reading my mind. Like, I work a ton and I take less time off than I ever have in my life. And there's good parts of that and bad parts of that. It's mostly because like I care so much about what we're doing and I like want to keep going. It's not because somebody's like cracking the whip. So that's a good thing. But I mean, I definitely miss taking more time off regularly, the ability to take longer vacations, and like you do have to sometimes deprioritize yourself more than a normal job. That going in, so you just have to kind of, the pros and cons. Is that something that's going to be worth it to you? But I would say that Lori hit the nail on the head. That's probably one of the biggest cons in my perspective. The other one I would say, and I'm not even sure this is a con, it's just something you want to be aware of if you haven't worked at a tech startup. You typically get paid less in cash compensation and more in equity. So you're making a bet that the company does well long term, and you're hoping that it pays off. Spoiler alert, it usually doesn't. More startups fail than succeed. But you're making a bet that it's successful. But regardless, in the short term, you're likely going to be making making less in salary or cash. So again, that's something that you have to kind of weigh. Is this risk worth it? And do I think that the reward at the end is going to pay off? Chuck, I'm sure you have something to add.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'd add there, like, again, just a lot of self-awareness about the environments where, you succeed, you thrive, you want to be in, what your priorities are from that standpoint. And so, if you're someone who thrives knowing day to day exactly what your work is going to be, a startup environment is not the right for you. Not right fit. Every day is different. You're learning new and different things. And so again, that's great from a development standpoint because you are learning new and different areas. But if you really crave that stability, that predictability, obviously a startup's not going to be, as good a fit for you. And also even then, Molly mentioned we've got a relatively small team. So it used to be part of a large organization. You'd always go, well, I'll go to the HR person for that question. I'll go to the finance person for that question. I'll go to the lead marketer for that question. There are not those people. Like, you have to figure those out, right? And so again, from a developmental standpoint, from an exposure standpoint, it's fantastic. But if you really crave that support and those functions around you, and you don't like kind of that lack of predictability, it can be something that, ends up not being the right fit. So a lot of it is just really personality dependent, and that's probably true a couple of years ago and still true today.
Yeah. Aaron says that it's not for him. He came from the legal compliance world, the tech startup. He's not a move fast and break things person. Lori says she loves to move fast and break things. So it is definitely like the mentality. I would say a few years ago when everybody was trying to get into tech and I was talking to a lot of tech founders, I was telling them that the people you should be looking for are people in the hospitality business, right? No day is ever the same when they come in the door. They probably learned 30 different tech systems in 30 different places they've worked. Let's be honest, that's true. They can adapt, and they're really used to rejection and people being rude and mean to them. And that's pretty much everything an SDR or cold caller is doing all day, right? We're mainly getting rejected most of the time. So for sales positions, I would always recommend somebody in hospitality in that kind of industry. Or I would say, look, even if they're in IT or whatever, look at their background. Did they ever do this type of job in college? Because if they did, they have some grit and they can probably do this job as well. And there's other industries that correlate too. Y'all, I'm just talking about one. Nobody get offended. I know people, I get DMs after the show. You said this, but you should have said this. I don't care. I don't care. Gabe says, I fear working for a tech startup. Simply what Molly stated. Many startups fail and you get paid more in Pringle pizza than cash. Yeah, we don't want to get paid in Pringle pizza. But the other thing is, I will say, Lori said, it's an ownership mentality. And I will say this, when you believe in the thing you're doing, you believe in the product, you believe in the tool, and you believe in yourself, it doesn't feel like it's as much of a risk. Right? Like you have to weigh it. Some people aren't in a place in their life where they could do that and get paid more in equity in a smaller, like whatever, wherever you are in your life, it's different for you. But some people, this is it for them and it's worth it for them. And they might have done this 6 or 7 times and they just need the one to hit. Right? So serial entrepreneurs are going to keep creating and kind of keep building. And I think that if it's in your blood, it's in your blood. Is this the first like venture for both of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I love this. It's so exciting when like people are just so passionate. I know Gabe is cracking us up and Andrew had a funny comment. Can we get an equity-based mortgage? But Lori made a good point. It is worth it when an exit happens and the equity comes to fruition. I have talked to a few people who they've had some pretty nice exits. So if you can stick with it, and that's the other thing, this is like maybe going back to the last topic, a piece of advice, y'all. When you want to give up, you might be on the 1 yard line and you just don't know it. Like, just keep going. Just keep going. Can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit. Just keep going. Lori, I scaled one that exited, helped make some millionaires. Incredible stuff. It is. And when you see the other side of it, then you're like really addicted and you want to keep doing it. Okay. We're going to move into leveling up your interview skills in 10 minutes. Okay. I don't remember who, one of you or maybe both of you spoke about how Earn Better has some like practice interview tools, right? Things like that. If somebody's watching today and they need help with their interview skills, but maybe like they haven't had a good experience with AI, what do you say to them? Where do you guide them? And give us some advice on how they could level up their interview skills in the next 10 minutes.
I can take this one, Tuck. We have 2 main products at Earn Better. Both of them are free. One of them is an interview cheat sheet. So if you are a little bit like you want to be a little more hands off with it, it's just 2 or 3 pages with information about the company and the role where you're interviewing and potential questions to anticipate. So you can just read that on your own time to kind of help you get familiar with the interview that you're walking into. And then the second one is an AI practice interview where you are actually asked 3 questions by our AI system, and then you record yourself answering your responses, and then you get feedback on that. You get a grade, and we'll tell you what you did well, where you could potentially improve, etc. And what I like about that is you can do that from your couch in your pajamas. Not everybody has someone that they feel comfortable practicing with, or they don't even know like which questions do I practice, like where do I start? So I think it's helpful in getting you to a starting point. And like, I personally think practicing is like the most important thing you can do before going into an interview. So it's just making it more accessible.
Yeah. So many people work so hard on the resume and so hard on applying, and then they get the interview and they're like, oh crap. Yeah. Tuck, what do you say to these people?
Yeah, I mean, look, it can be hard to find someone to do a practice interview with, to get feedback. When you do interviews, you don't get feedback generally from employers. And so one of the reasons why we built the product the way we did is just to make it really easy to practice and lower the barriers to practice. Again, it's free, it's simple. As Molly mentioned, you can do it from your couch, you can do it from your phone, et cetera. Because, we want to bet by the time you practice an answer the 3rd time, the 4th time, it's 50% better than when you started. And if that answer is 50% better, that's going to help you, increase the chance that you can get that job. I think the other thing that I'll call out, so we've done, there've been thousands and thousands of mock interviews that, people have done on the platform. The most consistent kind of constructive feedback that we provide is be specific, right? Because if you're speaking in generalities, that's going to be a less powerful answer than if you're specific. Now, that's advice that's always kind of easier said than done. Oh, how can I remember all these specific anecdotes to all these specific questions? So one piece of advice that we'll give to, or that I'll give, is start with like, what are those like 5 experiences that you've had that you think really demonstrate your strengths, your superpowers, and then really get good about talking about those experiences. And then try to find ways when you're asked questions to then talk about those experiences. We're in the middle of, political season, election season here. It's a politician might get asked a question in a debate, and they'll try to kind of guide that question to what they want to talk about. And so there might be one experience, and that same experience you could use, tell me about a time when you faced a challenge. Tell me about a time, what you're most proud of having accomplished. There might be like 10 different questions that could all lead to you talking about that one scenario, that one anecdote. So, I often coach people to kind of start with those set of anecdotes you think are really powerful and illustrative of your strengths as a candidate, and then find ways to kind of bring those up in the interview versus needing to prepare for 50 different questions, which is just way too hard.
Yes, you can shape your answer to different questions. So one of my favorite things to do, exactly what Tuck is saying, but I'll have little like post-it notes with 3 or 4 stories, and not the whole story, obviously, but like the keywords that are going to trigger the story I want to tell. And after I tell the story, I pull the post-it note down. And if we're getting to the end of the conversation, to that point where it's like, do you have any other questions? Da, 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 da. If there's one left up, that's a story I need to tell. Mm-hmm. So that's like a great way, because we get distracted in interviews. People ask questions we're not expecting. We might not always say all the things we want to say, and these are, they're not even Post-its anymore. They're actually like laminated cards of the stories, because I've been telling the same stories my whole career, y'all. That's the other great part about this. You can tell the same stories forever. But they're literally like little laminated cards. I'll never forget these stories. I can use them anytime. And you just take them away after you've said that piece. And then, you said everything. You've got it all. Take notes during your interview. Don't be worried to write. Take notes. Tell the person at the beginning of the interview, I want to be engaged, but I also know this is so important. I need to take some notes so that at the end of the call, my thoughts are collected. They will be so impressed when you say that. Nobody does that. What? Take the time to be a little bit of the person who stands out. And at the end, when Molly and Tuck are talking about the person they're going to hire, Molly and Tuck are going to be like, do you remember that one person who took notes the whole interview? And then at the end, like, they didn't interrupt us once. They knew everything. They had a whole list of questions. Their stories were really like, y'all, set yourself up to be successful. Don't walk into it and not prepare. And if people like Tuck and Molly have tools that are completely free for you to use, don't just use them, but then share them with other people, because LinkedIn is a community where if we're not helping others level up, we're not leveling up ourselves. You get more out of LinkedIn when you give back to other people. So my big advice, if you learned something new about interviews today, if you learned something new about something you should do, share this episode, share Earn Better, go help someone else be better in their career so that they too can have that next role, that next step where they can send the ladder back down, because that's what it's all about. Cool. Okay, y'all, we're almost done. A few more minutes. Okay, any other interview skills? Molly, I know you're doing like this founder thing right now, but I want you to think back to the last time you interviewed. Was there anything that was nerve-wracking that like after you were like, oh, if I would have thought about this, or if I would have prepared like this? Is there any kind of scenario you can talk about?
I think so. This wouldn't be the last time I interviewed, because that would have been when I was chatting with Tuck and John about this particular venture. But for the one before that, I would say I had a case study that I did, and just being able to, like, whenever you do a case study or an exercise or a project, which I know is a hot topic because people hate doing these as part of the interview process, but you tend to get like really in the weeds about what you are working on. Like in this one, I had this like Excel sheet that I was, manipulating for hours and hours. Bring yourself up 30,000 feet. Make sure you have a good like overview and how you're going to tie it together. Because I think sometimes people get like a little bit more granular in those situations.
Yeah. So will you do a project during an interview is what I want to pose to everybody watching. Molly did talk about that. That is a hot topic. So will you do a a project? At what point? Is there too many? Tuck, what do you think about projects during interviews?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think it is helpful generally to really understand what the job is going to be like and for them to really understand kind of your skills, et cetera. I think ultimately, though, you need to be really mindful, like that's your time. And as I mentioned at the outset, job search is a job you don't get paid to do, right? And so if you do end up taking those on, you want to make sure that the company you're interviewing with is also investing, and also you're far enough along where it makes sense for you, et cetera. So really, I would look at it on a case by case basis, and there's some companies that I think take really aggressive approaches to that. I think there's some benefits to light simulation, but like extensive homework, early in the funnel of a recruiting process is, I think, really challenging. I think, for a number of obvious reasons.
Yes, I want to bring this up. Dan says attend a bunch of networking events live and online. Get more comfortable talking about yourself. If you don't talk about yourself, nobody else is gonna. Somebody told me I was self-serving for my LinkedIn post this week. Damn straight. Sorry, y'all. I run my own business. You got to talk about yourself. You got to promote yourself. You got to tell people the things that you're good at. Like Lori says, it's another place to stand out, especially because people hate doing them. So stand out. Michelle says, yes, she would do them. Lori said, absolutely. Gabe says, I would do a project for sure. So it seems like the people watching today are not against them. I think that there's a limit, right? I've definitely had interviews where I essentially wrote entire manuals for people for a project and then handed it over and didn't get the role and was a little bit upset, right? So I think you limit it. I think you show what you can do. Don't give all the keys to the kingdom, but show what you can do. But yeah, I'm a little salty, y'all. And then I think that's also when you're talking to people, if people are really against it, ask them how many projects they've had to do for interviews. Like, be curious. You don't know. What if they've done 12 projects and they never got past that point? And if you're a person who did 12 projects and you never got past that point, that's probably your problem. And don't go practice interviewing. Go have somebody work on that project with you so that you can get past it. Find the part where it falls off and then work on that. Do more of that. Okay. Your thoughts, Jeff P, if you're watching, if you know, you know. Lori says the amount of work I'm willing to do directly correlates on how much I want that particular role. What do you guys say to that?
I think that's accurate. And sort of similar to what Tuck said, like if you're far along in a process and you've gotten to know several people on the team, it's feeling like it's going to be a good fit. And that's the next step. I personally would want to do one because I'd want to kind of understand what sort of like projects or assignments or exercises I might be doing in the role. But also when you go in to discuss that, you get a sense for how that team dynamic is and how kind of like you brainstorm and collaborate together, which to me is really important if I'm going to take it or not. So I would view it as something like another way for me, because I'm interviewing the company as much as they're interviewing me. I want to make sure that, everything is, I have all of like my expectations aligned. That being said, I can understand the side of the scenario, Lauren, where you're saying like, oh, this is my 20th exercise. Like I'm kind of like F this. So I understand where people are coming from on that side.
Yeah. I think in that instance, you just have to try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, figure out where they're coming from. If somebody has a bad taste in their mouth, talk to them about why. Talk to them about why it would benefit. I mean, I talk to some people because I'm a recruiter and I'm an agency recruiter. So a lot of people think they can just spill their guts to me and I don't care. Y'all, it's still a reflection of you when you say horrible, horrible things. Even though I'm agency and I don't work internally for the company, it's still a reflection back on you. When people say something, it's more about you than them, or them than you, or whatever, however, you know what I mean? So just be mindful of what you're saying and how you're presenting yourself. And it all matters. It all matters at the end of the day. Okay. Can you believe
the only other thing, Lauren, I would say I want a plus one. I think it was Dan talking about getting comfortable talking about yourself and like going to networking events. And I think that's so important, is like getting comfortable talking about yourself and practicing how you pitch, whether it's your elevator pitch or talking about an achievement or an accomplishment. Because we always we think we have something perfect formulated in our head, and then we go to articulate our thoughts, and I don't know about y'all, but like maybe you go off the rails a little bit. I mean, that's definitely happened to me. So I think the more you practice that, especially like with real people in real situations, you just get a lot better at it.
Yes. Practice with people you don't know if you can. One of my favorite things, and if you ever need help with this, email me. Don't DM me. I don't respond to my LinkedIn DMs, but email me if you ever need help with this. I love to connect people with other people in the same industry who just need help interviewing. And my biggest advice is, yes, practice ahead of time, but schedule a practice interview for the same day of your actual interview and get out all of your nerves that day, like that day, right before. Sweat it out, feel nervous, like channel all of that energy, and then take all of that energy and turn it into excitement because you just went through it and nothing's going to be as miserable as what I just sat through, right? So practice the day of your interview, if possible, with someone you don't know. And I can't tell you how important it is to practice with people you don't know. I don't remember which one of you said it. One of you said something about this, but practice interviewing with people who you don't know. Like, yes, your mom loves you. My mom's watching. I saw you comment, Mom. I'm sorry it's not popping up, but my mom loves me, but she loves me. And she might not always, well, no, my mother would give me the very harsh truth, but you know what I mean? Like, there are some mamas who are just going to tell you, baby, you got this. How could they not love you? Tell them to call me if they don't hire you. So you got to make sure that you have the right person who's helping you prep, and finding somebody in your industry that you don't know. They can be at the same level as you, y'all. It's not even about that. At the day of, you should have already practiced. You should have your answers. The day of, it's just about getting out your nerves. So practice the day of your interview. Gabe says he needs lots of practice. His elevator pitch is terrible. So the last thing I'm going to ask you to, Tuck, I'm going to have you take it away. Somebody who thinks their elevator pitch is terrible, what's your biggest advice on how they could improve it?
I mean, part of it is just, again, starting with like, what do you love and being authentic about it? You know, here's who I am. Here's what I'm great at. Here's what I love. And just practice it. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, simple is not easy. And it's practice and getting feedback and practice. And, you know, I'd love to say there's one hack or shortcut. It's writing it out and practicing it is really what I'd encourage the most from that standpoint.
There you go. Look, and Andrew's offering to practice. I love this. Y'all, you don't even have to go anywhere. You're just going to find a buddy in the chat. That's what we're going to do. Find your buddy in the chat. Link up. Okay, we are almost to the end. Y'all, you know, at the very, very end of the show, we do the fun Friday fact. Did you two decide who's going to do it? Are you both going to do it? I don't know.
I've got one ready. Well, I don't know.
Okay, you go.
All right, Tom.
Yeah.
Give us the fun Friday fact.
I don't know how fun it is, but my son asked me recently, he's 5 years old, how long does it take for a rocket to get to the International Space Station? Because that's in the news these days.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours, it depends on exactly, but as little as 4 hours, which really surprised me. So that's a fun fact I wanted to share.
Fast.
Yeah,
It's as little as 4 hours. It depends exactly where the space station is, where the rocket is, but as little as 4 hours is what the NASA site
So
indicated.
you mean that thing's not safe enough for them to be in for 4 hours to come home? I'm sorry. I know that's a whole other show, but man, I couldn't imagine going to space for a couple days and being there for months.
Yeah, no
Y'all,
thanks.
be thankful that you picked a career in tech or HR or recruiting or whatever the heck it is you're doing, and you're not stuck in space right now. This is your very last chance. If you're watching, we are going to draw from our official gifting sponsor, Sendoso. We are going to draw for the Costa Rica. I probably said that wrong. I tagged them on LinkedIn. Organic, everyday, extra virgin olive oil. So really quick, comment Sendoso, and I'm going to do the drawing right now. I told Tuck, I was like, I won't go over. I might go over. I'm going to go so quick. Okay, on your mark, get set. We had 14 people enter. Can you see my screen? I hope so. Let's go. Who's going to be? Lee, Lori, Tom, Michelle. Mom, I'm sorry your name didn't show up. I'll buy you some olive oil. Molly!
Whoa.
Molly got the olive oil. This is only the second time we've ever had somebody on the show who won on the show. I love this. And now Molly gets to decide if she's going to have the olive oil or if she's going to experience true corporate gifting and send it to someone.
I'm gonna send it to Lori Golden.
Oh, Lori, look at that. Yeah, Lori told us about the drugs and their fun fact last week, and that if you eat too much nutmeg, you'll hallucinate and die. So y'all, don't eat the nutmeg. Happy Tuck didn't tell us about that, but 4 hours to the space station if you want to be an astronaut. And this was fun. I had so much fun. Did you two enjoy it?
This is great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. This is
Thank
fun.
you for tuning in and watching. Y'all know we'll be here next Friday, but if you didn't enjoy it, don't come back. Bye.